Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have Daniel Apke with us from Land Investing Online. And Daniel, I have to apologize. I didn't ask how to pronounce your name before we hopped on here. I hope I got it right.
I put a note down to remind you too, and I completely forgot because no one gets it right. It's Apke, Daniel Apke.
Daniel Apke, right on. Daniel is a master in the land investing world. Obviously, he's from Land Investing Online. I am super excited. I don't often have a ton of people on here to talk about investing in land. It is a killer niche because they're not making more of it. Obviously, land is the foundation of real estate. And so, Daniel, I am super excited to have you on here.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Gabe.
Right on. I told you before we got on here, we like to start with stories. We'd like to hear how people got to where they are today. So why don't you give us your story? How'd you get started in real estate?
So I graduated college, and immediately, like a lot of other people, you want to get more financial freedom, get more freedom. And the way to do that, a great way to do that, which you pitch on your podcast, Gabe, is through real estate investing. So the first thing I did after graduating college, I actually bought a really cheap salon real estate. I bought the building, a salon in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Like strip center retail.
Yeah, exactly. And the old owners were making or were hiding a lot of the income on it, Gabe. So to investors, it looked like a really shot property that no one would be interested in. But I actually went there and started asking the salon stylist how much they're paying by booth every day and by month. And it was generating a crazy amount of capital or a crazy amount of cash flow. And then on top of it, there's an apartment on top as well. So it was a really good intro property for real estate for me. And I loved it. I loved every part. I used to manage it myself and go and collect all the salon money. And it really opened me up to real estate and what's possible. But while I was doing that, I had a 9-to-5 job. I was working as an outside salesman for a company called Palmer Donovan, and I was selling building materials. So that kind of ingrained me in the building industry and real estate as well. I'd go to job sites and commercial properties. But I always knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a full-time entrepreneur. So it was just about, how do I get there? What's the quickest way to get there? And a lot of times real estate, it takes a little bit, in traditional real estate, it can take a little bit of time for cash flow to build up enough to make a full-time living. So I actually started an electric bike company, Gabe, and that within 6 months or so gave me enough to quit my job, gave me enough income to quit my job. But I still knew in the back of my head, I want to get back in real estate. That just got me out of my job. Now let's put my head where I really want to do towards my passions.
Okay.
And
by electric bike company, do you mean something like Bird or something like you go put them out and people rent them and that kind of stuff? Or what do you mean by electric bike company?
I was just a distributor for electric bikes. So so the scooter companies, we had scooter companies like Bird that we would distribute. We were just really had wholesale agreements with these manufacturers and would distribute the product for them.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so you started, you wanted to be in real estate. You realized that it does take a lot of capital. Everybody out there that says, you don't need any money to do real estate, full of shit. You need money to do real estate. There are ways to make money, wholesaling and everything but it still requires money, capital to market. And so you realized that you started another company, an electric bike company. It took you about 6 months to get out of the rat race to completely, get rid of your corporate job. And at one point, did you actually focus exclusively on real estate?
It was when I had a friend in the e-commerce world, because I had other businesses too. I had about 8 businesses running, 6 businesses at one point, like publishing. I was publishing books for people. I was really just looking for that freedom. And during that,
it sounds like you kind of went the same route. I did e-commerce too and a whole bunch of different stuff. I was just like going through the Facebook feed and you get this idea of a business. And you're like, fuck it, I'll do that. Let's just get it done.
Exactly. And I think it stems we have the same personality traits and we wanted to be full-time entrepreneurs and we're just looking, what's going to get me to be able to do that and make the most money. And that's what it was for a long time. But I was introduced actually land invest. And throughout that too, I want to mention, I was buying, when I had my 9-to-5 job in the electric bike, I was buying some other smaller rental properties in Ohio, the Midwest. So I was doing that to kind of keep my passion going and keep that long-term asset. But I was introduced to land investing through a friend who was he was actually in the drop shipping industry. and he made his way up really high in the drop shipping industry and was doing well. And he was like, this land investing thing seems so sustainable for a long-term play. So I dove in it and started researching and figuring out how to do it. And the main objective of land investing is buying the properties under market value and just reselling it. That's what we're doing. We're just really flipping it. You can do owner financing and things, but in this market where things are selling so fast, we just buy it under market value. And the thing why it was so appealing to me is because there are so many sellers out there that own land and they don't want it. They're paying taxes on it. They don't even live nearby. They've never been there. They inherited the property. They need the money for something else. It's not like it's their shelter and their roof, right? They can liquidate that for cash at any point. So that was what was really appealing to me, Gabe.
Nice, man. I love it. And so, I mean, your story's pretty interesting, especially that you started with a salon. Most people start, wholesaling properties or they buy a rental. How did you find the salon? Why did you decide to go commercial that very first deal?
It just fell into my lap. I was using a realtor at the time. He's a family friend, and he kind of strongly pushed me in there. He knew it was a good deal. He knew they were hiding income. He knew it was a nice property and really knew about the location. He was really pushing me towards that property. And we were looking at a lot at that time for just 2 to 4 units pretty much. And then that property technically had an apartment on top too and a salon on the bottom. And we saw it and figured out the cash flow. It's like, it would have been impossible to say no. So we went with a really, really low offer as well. And they were just in a spot where they needed to sell. So we literally bought the operating salon for $82,000. It just made a lot of sense. Yeah. Jeez, it was just a killer deal. So it was one of those deals you come across and you just can't say no to.
Yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of those, for a while, I was really interested in laundromats, and a lot of those cash-based businesses. You'll see their P&L, but it is nowhere near reflective of their actual operating income, like what they're actually bringing in. And so it sounds like salons are the same. I'm sure they're getting a lot of cash payments.
Exactly.
They don't report it to the IRS, and it's just not on their
goes in their pocket for sure.
Yep, that's interesting. So let's dive deeper into land. It's something that I don't know a ton about. I know that there's a lot of different ways to execute it. So it sounds like your main model is buying and flipping. And mostly you're buying from people who've owned it for maybe their dad, their grandpa owned it for however long, and they got it, they inherited it, and they just don't want it. So they just want to get rid of it for under market value. They just want the headache to be gone, which is the perfect situation for an investor. How do you go about finding these deals?
So we have a county selection process that we use. We really identify what county we're first. I'll start by saying, actually, we're doing this primarily in rural America. We're not going for the most part in a metro Atlanta, Georgia area and doing 0.15 acre lots. We do a little bit of that, but that's more specialized. And as we get more specialized, we do a little bit of that, but primarily we're going 1 to 2 counties outside of these metro areas. So we go, if you're in Atlanta buying and flipping land and around the greater Atlanta area, we'd go out to like Macon County, 2 counties removed. It works better that way. A lot of the people, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's hard to comp land in those areas. So people don't know the value of their land because there might be 1 to 2 comps within 20 miles. And it's just so hard to comp land. And that's where our specialty is. But to actually acquire this, we identify that county, and then we pull data for everyone who owns, let's just say in Macon County, Georgia, who owns between 2 to 50 acres, let's just say. We'll pull all the records that fit that. And then we have a data specialist, which, used to be us, but now we have someone doing it in our firm who just prices it out, figures out what the retail is for that 2 to 50 acres. What do we want to price it? Set a percentage. And then we send out 20,000 mailers with offer letters on them. So our mailers, the first one's an introduction, and the second page is a spot for them to sign, fill out with an offer letter, their APN. And then when we get those back and negotiate or whatever, then we just send it to title and then do the same thing on the for sale side and just list it on the market, on the MLS, on land.com, on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist, everywhere we can put it. Really good marketing, great drone photos, ground photos, all that stuff.
So when you say you send it with an offer, when I was doing a single family wholesales, way back when, I had thought about doing this, but I never got the processes built out. When you're actually sending that offer in the marketing mailer, are you sending an offer amount, so that it should be worth 100,000 and you offer half of whatever that is, so $50,000 for the property, and it's actually in a purchase and sale agreement or an LOI or something like that?
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Yes, it's a purchase agreement, and it has, so if that $100,000 property we offer, just depends on the area and the hotness of the market, but we'd offer, just for this example, say $50,000, and we'll offer to buy it within a certain amount. Like in certain areas, we can literally close with title insurance in 3 days, and that's one of the main incentives, but typically, it's between 8 to 12 business days, we say, and we're buying that in our own name. And we'll get into financing, how we fund these properties later. We can, if you want to talk about that, but we're not actually buying this with our money. We're buying it with other people's money for the most part. So that's how we close, with our own money in our own name. And that gives us the ability to put it on the market, to put it on the MLS and all those sites, so you can market it under your name.
Yep. And that was actually going to be my next question, is how do you guys finance all these deals? It sounds like you're doing pretty big volume, which takes a lot of capital if you're actually closing on the deal and not wholesaling it. So how are you guys financing this?
So the way it works, and it took us a long time to get to this point too, but in our community, there's a lot of different land investors, right? It's a small niche, land investing. And what happens, this works pretty well and it's pretty profitable. So what happens when they are land investing after a year, 2 years, whatever, they get excess cash and they want to invest it in other people's properties. So it's usually a network of people who have extra money from land investing, putting it in other people's deals. So we're funding it mix between other people's family and friends, just raising money through other ways, but attaching all the money to a deal. So it's not attached to our business. So all the money's attached, and then we do a profit split at the end. So if we're buying a property for $50,000, it will be in a contract to that Macon, Georgia property for $50,000. And we'll do anywhere. I've seen 50-50 profit splits. I've seen 40-60, 25-75. You just got to get creative with that. But there's a lot of people in the community with money there's more money than deals, I should say.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. And so, the flip is obviously the model that makes the most sense. Do you guys do anything else with the land? Do you do development? I've even seen people who buy land and then they'll just rent it out, on, I can't remember what app. It's like the Airbnb of camping or something like that. And just rent it out as a plot to camp on. Do you guys do any of that, or is it just the flips?
No, flips mainly we do. So one thing, actually, I was just putting together our 2023 goals. One thing we are looking to do more is more projects. Like that's on our goals, do more projects, subdividing minor subdivisions. Like you can split a 20-acre property into 2 10-acre properties, something that simple. And, you might be able to get 30% more dollars out of it. So we do some improvements like that. You can get into major subdivisions. Leasing land out is big. Like if you have farmland, you can lease it out to farmers. They don't want to buy it. They just want to lease it and use it. Hunting, leasing out to hunters, you can do.
Oh, interesting.
We're really big on the more specialization like that. You're saying, like, the more specialized you are, the more value you're bringing, which I just think is more sustainable in the long run. So we really do preach doing different stuff with the land. Once you have the money, it's easy to get the cash flow and the money you're looking for and the freedom you're looking for. Flipping land's a really fast way to get there. And then once you have that money and you're doing all that, let's take 20-40% of our dollars and of our marketing and try different things, subdividing, whatever you want to do. I know someone who just does it. Let's just use the Atlanta area again. They're only buying mobile home lots in Atlanta with no mobile homes on it. And that's their specialty. And then they know all the mobile home dealers and buyers out there and the builders and everything. And then they just send it right to them. They know exactly what they're going to sell it for before they buy it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Once you get good at a specific thing like that, like buying mobile home lots that are zoned to have a mobile home on them, and then getting their relationships, bringing them in. Once you really nail that down, it's like butter. I love it.
Exactly.
So you mentioned you guys go 2 counties outside of major metros. So that is, I'm just thinking of where I live, 2 counties away from King County, from Pierce County here up in the Seattle area. is getting pretty sparse. Do you guys, some areas, I'm thinking of like Montana, if you go 2 counties outside of Bozeman or something, you're literally in the middle of nowhere. Do you guys buy land that is, 100 miles away from the nearest city, or are you only within like a 50-mile radius of a major metro?
No, we'll go further out than that. It really just depends. Like you have to figure out in the part of the county selection process, it's not how far away from a city is it. It's more like how are the properties moving that are for sale, or how how long did the sold properties take to sell? So if you see 5 properties that are all around 5 acres and they sold for $50,000 each in 3 days, there's a big market for 5-acre properties out in that area. It's more about the demand in the area than the actual ruralness, because I'll buy some lots that are 10 miles away from Atlanta, right? And they take 2-3 months to sell and the interest is low. And it always shocks me. We'll go 100 miles outside and we'll put up the same similar property and it will sell within, a few days. So by seeing the, I think time on market versus the population is not always correlated to the heat of the market is what I'm trying to say.
Huh. Yeah, that makes, it doesn't make sense, but it makes, it makes a lot of sense in terms of why you would do that.
It's all pricing. Like if you price at the end of the day, we always teach undercut the market a little bit, right? Don't get greedy. Put it 90% right now, 95%, since the market's still doing okay, 90%. When the market gets hot, when the market gets a little cooler, maybe we need to put it for 80%. There's always a demand for under market value properties. And that's just comes back to the value we preach. Like we're providing values to the people that we're buying the land from, and then we're selling the land. I mean, we're providing a good opportunity that wouldn't have been there without us.
Gotcha. Yep. And when I buy properties, I always preach seller financing. I always, I'm selling 2 properties right now, seller financing myself, and I've bought most of my properties with seller financing. Do you do that with land, or you just like to cut ties, have it cash, have no debt on the property when you buy it?
We do seller financing, but the ticket that we're doing is a lot smaller than your ticket. So a lot of people do have the cash. And right now in a market where the people still do have the cash, we're getting plenty of cash offers. So it just comes down to, for us, what you value the money now. Like if you can get $50,000 now versus $60,000 or $70,000 after the owner financing gets paid out in a few years, it's really whatever you value it now. Right now with the market in land and the cash offers, we're trying to focus on cash offers, but owner financing, as the market drops, less people have cash, owner financing goes up with that. So we do that.
Perfect. I love it. All right, man. Well, hey, I took a peek at the clock. We have gone through our 15 minutes, so it's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Perfect. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Starts with books or any form of education, any media. Give me 2 recommendations, 1 for general life wisdom, 1 for real estate specific.
Real estate specific, or I would do general advice. One of the books that comes to mind is Start With Why. I think just having a purpose on what you do, that's what drives me forward. That's what allows me to work hard. I couldn't imagine trying to do everything I do with entrepreneurship without loving what I do. And you can see in the background, if you're watching this, it's right up here. I think Start With Why, really good book by Simon Sinek. Real estate related, I think just getting involved in the community in terms of like how I got started. I was just on the Bigger Pocket forums, to be honest, and just seeing what people are doing, seeing what people are interested in. It just opens your whole world up to what's going on out there and the possibilities. And then just really focusing on one area of that, because at the end of the day, we can make money in any niche. It's just how about you execute the niche.
Yep. Yeah, man. I wish I would have focused in sooner in my career, because when I got started in real estate, I wanted to do everything. I was doing wholesaling, doing single family rentals, flips, you name it. I tried it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I just focused in, I'm going to do self-storage. This is what I'm doing.
There's pros and cons of every niche. Like you found out, like you can there's people out there making money in any single business. It's just how are you going to execute on it? So that comes back to Start With Why. Like, what do you care about? What's going to be sustainable for you to do for 10, 20 years?
Yep, absolutely. All right, that moves us to the next question. This is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Daniel who had no experience in real estate. He was just starting his corporate career. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him 1 piece of advice moving forward.
I think action is always best. Like if you're debating doing something and you want to do it, take the action. I see too many people investing in our program, investing in the land investing community to be a part of it, and they're not actually sending the marketing. They're not actually sending the mail. Take action. You'll figure the rest out. Quit studying. Honestly, quit studying so much. Like I learn, and I know everyone else learns by actually doing it. And I think that's the number one thing. And it comes back to fear, but just pushing yourself and taking that next step. And then after that next step, the next step will automatically come. So I sent the mail out in this case. And then the acquisitions are going to naturally come from that. So I got to get comfortable with the whole process. People overstudy in my mind when they're scared.
Yep, absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better myself. Once you know the general idea of what you're doing, just find the next step and do it. Just focus on that step. And then as you take those steps, one after the other, the whole picture will start to take place. So love it. Moving on to the next one. This is location, the United States. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity out there. You're in land, so this is going to be an interesting answer. Give me one metro in the US that you're most excited about investing in today.
One metro. I think Memphis, around the Memphis, Tennessee area. I love that area. You get into northern Mississippi, southwest.
Oops, looks like Daniel's
there's not a lot of investors smacking it right now.
Oh, there you go. You froze for a second. So repeat what you said just there. I
said great. So I don't know where I stopped. So I'll just start. Greater Memphis. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I think it's under approached from an investor standpoint. You have northern Mississippi right there. That's, you're talking 20, 30 miles out. You're in northern Mississippi. There's a ton of land development opportunities there. It's a growing area. People love Tennessee for whatever reason. People are moving there. It's very sustainable. Very excited about the Memphis area.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Memphis and Nashville both have just been, a number of people have come on here and recommended those areas because, they're just exploding. I actually went to Nashville the first time, I think it was last year, and man, I had a lot of fun. That was a fun city.
It's a fun place for sure.
Yeah. All right. So next question, we are all gifted with Superman strengths that we uniquely give to this world. So what is your Superman strength?
The giving back to the world?
Just what's your greatest strength that you feel in your business?
I feel like my greatest strength personally is my vision. I don't always know how to get there, but by having that long-term vision of where I'm going, everything else kind of comes from that. And I think just having that vision has allowed me to get to where I am. And I have a big vision for I'm only 28 years old. I have a big vision for where I'm going, and I have a good sense of direction from that standpoint. And I'm just excited for it. I think having that vision, that clear vision in my mind has been really beneficial from a business standpoint.
Nice, man. I love it. All right. That leads us to the second to last question. This is about mentors. None of us are islands. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So who is one mentor who has contributed significantly to your career today?
So my mentor so far, and specifically in the last 6 months, his name's Joe Sheehy. He's the founder of a company called Cured Nutrition. It's a nutrition company out of Colorado. He's got an incredible vision, incredible story, just really passionate guy. And we meet once a week, one-on-one. He is extremely gifted from a business and he's a great person overall. He's helped taking my business to the next level. Super grateful for him. If you guys don't know Joe Sheehy, I definitely recommend following him for business advice. Just a really great, genuine guy.
Perfect. Well, shout out to Joe. Thank you for helping Daniel to get to where he is today. And that leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot of good advice, a lot of good wisdom on investing in land. So I'm sure people want to reach out and get in contact with you. What is the best way for them to do that?
Instagram. I'm very involved on Instagram. I post pretty much any day. Instagram.com/Daniel Apke, or just feel free to email us at daniel@landinvestingonline.com. Shoot us an email anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions. We have so much free resources that we provide, calls, Q&As, things like that. If you're interested or have any questions on land, just hop in one of the Q&As. They're completely free. Love to provide free value just if you're looking to learn more.
Perfect. So that's Instagram at Daniel Apke, APKE. I will put that link in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out to Daniel, just go ahead and click a little more in the description. It'll pull down this full description, and in there you can find Daniel's link. Right on, Daniel. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
This was great. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.